Welcome to another exciting edition of the $1 Million Peddlers. I'm Papergoy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
And to everybody new to the channel, I'm Papergoy, who works out of his house and has a day job, yet still found a way to get 40,000 items listed on eBay and Amazon, and you can do it too. And tried to give you the perspective from a smaller seller.
I'm Mr. Magazine, who works in a warehouse, a big warehouse with 15 employees and 500,000 items.
So today, one of our subscribers and comes to the live show every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, asked us to do a episode about this over here because he's kind of new and he's learning a lot from us and other people online. So that's a wonderful tool. Do watch various YouTube videos on how to do things. You certainly will learn a lot. I mean, we've learned a lot about various things as well from people. You know, Auction Professor, good friend of the channel, he's actually taught us with the where you scan in on a picture and, you know, kind of blow it up a little bit and then put a second picture in. Will definitely improve your sales, no doubt at all about that. And we do that on our bolo videos. I often show one of those as well. We try to put a bolo up every Saturday. But he's new to it. Yeah. And so he wanted some advice on kind of how to get started, because the whole thing is kind of overwhelming. And I think you had talked to him and mentioned to him, hey, you've got a lot of stuff in your house that you no longer use, whether it's collectibles that, you know, hey, you picked up a higher conditioned one and a lot, so now you've got one over to sell, or even household items around the house.
Music, clothing, sneakers, coats, anything really. Yeah,
let's say that you've put on a couple of pounds, as I have.
I know that feeling.
Some of my older clothes may not necessarily fit, but if they're still in nice condition, somebody else may want to be out of style like I was. Yeah. So you just never know. So you can put that kind of stuff on.
Sure.
So I guess that would be your advice to start with, would be look around your house.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, sell the stuff you don't care about first, get a few bucks in your pocket, and then maybe reinvest it into better inventory.
Well, and I think one of the keys of doing that is it kind of will teach you whether you want to do it or not.
True. Yeah.
How much work goes into an eBay listing from cradle to grave?
Man, a lot more than you would think, really. A lot of steps involved.
Okay, so I'm going through my collection.
Yep.
I've got 2 Thundercats #1.
Okay.
I say, I want to keep this one because I always love the show, but this one over here, I want to get rid of this.
Yeah.
What do I need to do to sell it? And we're going to say on eBay, what do I need to do?
Well, generally, is it one comic or a box of comics?
Just one comic.
Just
one comic.
Well, you need to take a picture of it or scan it.
Right. So you need a scanner of some sort, or you need a camera of some sort, or you can use your phone.
Yep.
But that being said, on a comic book, I think a scanner is probably the best way to do it.
Right. Yeah. You want good looking pictures too.
And you want multiple pictures.
Yep. Absolutely.
So now you've got the comic, and you've one way or another you've taken the picture.
Yep.
Now, if you're only selling a few items, you're probably going to want to go on eBay, and you're not going to want to set up a store to start with, because why pay $9.95 a month or $7.95 if you do it in advance when you've got one item?
You want to grow into the whatever store you're going to use.
Yep. So that's a really good point. We've got the store on $1,000,000 and I started it without a store. I started it by listing a few items and keep renewing them at auction, and listing a few more and renewing them at auction, and so on until I took a look and I said, okay, the entry-level store, and I think it had 250 items in it. Right. Well, now I've got 50 to 60 items. Now it justifies starting a store.
Yeah.
As opposed to, let me start a store and I'm paying $9.95 a month and I have 2 items.
Right.
Great, I'm going to sell those 2 items and I break even.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to grow into it. So now you're taking the comic and you're listing it at auction.
Yep.
Okay. Any tricks on that kind of thing?
Not really. I mean, I guess you live and learn, but obviously you want to find the right category for eBay. You want to use the right, if you don't have a store, you don't need to use a store category. But maybe even check comps and see how they list them, where they list them. There might be a Thundercats comic that went for double because it was listed in movies or something because they got a TV show coming out or something like that. So you want to see where other people are listing.
Now, one good thing on something like that, if you're listing something fairly common like a Thundercats, you use the sell similar.
Yeah. Because
that will pre-fill a lot of the information for you.
Yeah.
Because, again, a comic book is fairly easy. You list it, generally speaking, you list it under the collectibles comics.
Right.
But you and I have been doing this forever, so we
Yep.
know lots and lots of categories and where the best place is.
Sure.
eBay will give you category suggestions on stuff, but it's not always the best.
Right.
In fact, I've had some times where I look at it and I go, I'll give you a perfect example why you don't necessarily want to follow the eBay categories. I have listed, there's an entertainment, theater, playbills, and it breaks it up by a decade.
Okay.
And there's pre-1940, 1940 to 50, 50 to 60, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Where would you suggest listing a 1942 playbill at?
Not knowing, you said the 40s category. So,
Yep.
yeah.
The first option that comes up is Playboy's 1950s.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun one. Now, but you said they had pre-40s or 40s as well?
Yeah, so it's 1942. So
Yeah.
you would list it 1940 to 1949.
Right.
It came up, the first suggestion was to list it from 1950 to 59. I said right there 1942.
Yeah, right.
Do you not know what decade that is?
Yeah.
So do not just blindly click because you'll end up not listing it in the best category. So
Well,
make sure you read it
technically,
over.
that would be a miscategorization, right?
That would be
If
funny.
they wanted to give you a strike, they certainly could. If someone complained about it,
Now that would be funny. Why did you list it here? Because you told
Yeah,
me to.
exactly.
I'm listening to you. You're the experts. It's your site. So you definitely want to list it in the right category because that'll help drive
Sure.
traffic. You want to put the pictures up. You want to put up multiple pictures. And on a comic like that, on an expensive comic, I would definitely do the corners, and I would definitely even do the back cover because you've had
yeah.
people ask you before about
Absolutely,
back
yeah.
cover.
Sure.
You're doing cheap comics, $5-8 comics. Just throw a
No
picture
one
up.
cares.
Nobody
Yeah,
cares
If you're
on
doing
that.
something that's 100 or 2, and the person's probably buying it to grade it, you want to be accurate so they know what they're getting as well.
Now, then you've got a list. You've got the area where you list the condition of it.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed, though, is a lot of people do not read that.
No.
I don't know if it doesn't
on eBay and Amazon, really. Both.
I don't know if it doesn't show up on the phone properly or
Yeah, it
what,
might be-
but a lot
that
of
may be
people
part of
don't
it.
read that. So you might want to list that down below in the description.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that a lot of people will do in their description that personally turns me off, they will write a book. And that book, especially after you've been on, not your first couple of sales, but you've been on for 2 or 3 years, that book ends up being every buyer that has ever done something wrong, you're mentioning down there, do not do this, do not do this, I do not do this, do not ask this, do not do this. And I'm reading this thing and I'm saying, what is this, 1800 school marm?
Well, I would just move on to someone else. I mean, someone else has to have one, and I'll look at their feedbacks and so forth and say, okay.
Yeah, and that's the way I look at it is if you need to write, 42 sentences telling us all the things that you don't want us to do as a buyer,
Well, yeah, he's a difficult seller, so I wouldn't.
or
wanna
he
deal
may
with
not
that.
be.
Yeah.
It may just be that that he just
Yeah.
is very thin-skinned and everything
Yeah.
bad that ever happens, he wants to make sure never happens again. So he
Right.
explains it.
Yeah.
Don't bother doing that.
Right.
So then you get down and you price it. Now you're pricing it at auction. I would personally price it at what you're willing to sell it for.
Sure.
Not worth taking a chance at pricing it at 99 cents. I mean, the Thundercats might go for $200,
Right.
but you're a seller with no positives or 5 positives. That tends to scare people away
Sure.
some. And
Yeah.
so you may end up selling it for $75
Yeah.
when it goes for $200 from other people.
Right.
So if you're willing to take $100 or $125 on it, list it at that.
Right.
And you may only get one bid on it.
Yeah.
But you do have to understand that everybody else is getting $200 out of it. You're a brand new seller. You may not get $200 out of it.
Right. Exactly.
That's where people's reputations, and nothing against you, you're a brand new seller. You don't have a reputation either
Right.
way.
Sure.
You definitely want to go above and beyond when you're first starting out. In fact, I may not even list that Thundercats as my first item. I may
Right.
list some other items so you
Yeah.
get a bit of a track record so people say, hey, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And another thing I do too with all my employees, especially when they're new and they're just getting used to listing, whatever they're listing, I will print out the condition, how to grade, grading guides. If it's a record, I go on a grading site, record site, print out the grades from, poor up to mint. The same thing for, whatever, comics, sports cards, magazines, anything like that. So then they can familiarize themselves and say, hey, this sounds like a VG. I'm marking it as VG or near mint, and then check with other people how they're listing them. If theirs looks like they're describing them and yours looks like theirs, then, you're good to go.
Well, and another thing, too, is now when you do ship it out, because now you've sold the item, you finally got a bid.
Yep.
Now you're just starting out. You've got 4 items listed.
Yep.
You and I are in a much different situation at this point because of the volume of items we have. But certainly if you were just starting out, and on $1 Million Peddlers and on Vivs-Views, I make sure that I answer any and all questions.
Right.
I'm not set up necessarily to do that on the Papergoy site, and you're certainly not set up to do that on Mr. Magazine. But if you're just starting out, do answer the questions.
Yeah.
You may get questions that we wouldn't get because somebody looks at it and goes, geez, this guy has 2 positive feedback. Does he know what he's doing? Let me ask these questions.
Sure.
Or you may not have mentioned something or other in the listing that we would automatically list.
Right, exactly.
Just because we've been doing it long enough, and we were asked that question 5 years ago, and so we say, hey, that's important for people to know.
Yeah.
We'll mention that. You may not have. So make sure that you're answering the questions because you do not want to get a return on something or other because you didn't mention something that you should have just because you didn't know.
Well, and then you could second guess yourself thinking, did this person buy it, take this item out of it? Say it's the, what is it, Spidey 252 with the tattoos or something. They had some type of the Spawn 4. They had, they have some mail-aways and inserts and stuff. Then you get it back and like, geez, I think this guy's scamming me, but you don't really know.
But you don't know because you didn't put it down that it had
or look
it.
at other people's listings and see how they describe them as well.
Yeah. So now you've sold the item. Woohoo, you got a bid, and the person paid for it. I think it's, a couple of things. Number one, you definitely want to make sure that you pack it safely.
Right.
Definitely want to pack, safely. Do not use the cereal box as somebody used on comic books when they sent it out to me.
Yeah.
One of the good friends of the channel, he had said he got an envelope with no protection whatsoever. They literally took a magazine and put it in an envelope. There was no backing board. There was no plastic. There was nothing.
Crazy.
It literally got sent that way. Now, luckily, it got there safely.
Right.
But you're dealing with a $200 Thundercats comic.
Yeah.
You definitely want to protect the heck out of it. And let's say that you think that the comic's going to go for $200 and you set it up with $4 shipping. And it goes for $275.
Yeah.
And this is very hard for a lot of new sellers to understand. Eat the extra shipping cost and ship it in a box. Ship it priority. Yeah. Sure, you only got paid $4 and it's going to cost you $9 to ship it.
Right.
It went for more money than you thought that it would.
Yep.
So do the extra protection so it gets there safely.
Well,
yes, you lost $5,
right,
but
I look at it like it went for $275. He paid for shipping. Would I be happy with $270 and that would now cost $9? Of course I would. And you're going to make sure it gets protected. So yeah, be smart and do it right.
But a lot of people are foolishly counting their pennies when they're just starting out.
Yeah.
Not realizing that in the bigger picture, yes, you could ship it for the $4, but you got a higher chance of damage, you got a higher chance of a return, a higher chance of the guy getting upset.
Sure.
Spend the extra $5 out of your pocket because it went for more than you thought that it would.
Yeah.
And invest
and pay for the insurance too, because say it gets damaged, it's on you, it's getting returned, and now you're stuck. So at least you got a leg to stand on if it's insured.
Yep. And don't nickel and dime the buyer at that point saying, I'd like to send this insured, but you only paid $4 shipping. Will you send me another $3? Don't go that route. I mean, there are a lot of people do that, and that again, they're so worried about every little penny that they make those mistakes that aren't thinking long term about things.
Right.
So you've packed it nicely, you shipped it out. I think an important thing to do, especially when you're just starting out, make sure you leave feedback.
Sure.
Because on eBay, it's a lot different than Amazon. Amazon, very, very few people leave feedback. But on eBay, what percentage of people would you guess leave feedback?
Man, 9 out of 10, right?
It's got to be high. I was going to say more than half. I was going to say 60, 65, 70% of people leave feedback.
I think so. Yeah.
So it's a lot different on eBay, and you need to get those feedbacks when you're first starting out.
Right.
I do laugh. I know you get the emails. I've gotten emails as well. How many feedback do you have?
Unique ones, 170,000, 180,000, something like that.
And I've got just over 50,000.
Right.
And I actually have people from time to time apologizing. Oh, I forgot to leave you feedback.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. At this point, it doesn't make a big difference either which way for us.
Yeah.
But if you're new and starting out, you definitely want to build those up. I think at 10, I think you get some sort of a little icon after
people
your
view
name.
you differently. But another thing, too, I would suggest when you're starting out, get some easy things that you're not going to have any issues shipping out, and they're going to be having, a sports card, clothing, things that aren't going to get damaged, things that you're, just easy sales that no issues with these.
So you don't think the first thing I should ever sell should be a 400-piece Noritake China set?
No, definitely not.
When should I sell
Unless
that?
you're drop shipping it from Noritake.
When should I sell that?
Never, ever.
That was exactly the answer
Never,
I was
ever.
looking for. And apologies to all of our sellers out there that sell 400-piece Noritake sets. God bless you. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do neon signs. I couldn't do any of those things.
Not
I want
anymore.
nothing
Forget
to do
about
with
it.
those kind of things. You don't want to do 78 records either. That would be another
No,
good thing to
exactly.
stay away from if you're a brand new seller.
Sure.
Yes, definitely list the easier things to start with, easier things to ship. And well, another big reason for that as well is I tend to sell magazines. They tend to be standard size.
Right.
I can get by with, 4 or 5 different size envelopes, 4 or 5 different size bags, 4 or
Right.
5, or actually 3 different size backer boards, and I can ship 95% of the things I need to ship, have a couple of boxes around in case there's a larger order, and I've taken care of 99.9% of my things I need to ship. Whereas if you're sitting there and you're selling 100 different items, all 100 are different size, different shape,
Yeah.
that's a lot of potential supplies that you need to invest in to start with.
Right. Right.
And okay, you go out and you buy the perfect size box for it, and the box costs you $3, and
Yeah.
it doesn't sell for 4 years. You've stored that box and the item for 4
Yeah,
years.
True.
That's definitely a reason why when you're getting into it, find what you like, but try to do standardization.
Yeah.
Same size item, same size box, same size this, same, Hot Wheels cars, you know exactly the size of the box
Yeah.
that you need for those.
Yeah. 45 RPMs aren't too bad. Those are easy.
Yep, that takes the standard size box.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's helped you some if you're just starting out, and if you've been selling for a while now, hopefully you've kind of got your memory jogged a little bit in there and got a bit of a tip. You say, oh, that's right, I need to do this. Oh, that's really good advice. Do hit the like button if you could. Do comment down below. And again, it is a good subscriber. He comes to the live show all the time, who asked us to do this video. So any advice you can give him, because I do feel like we're all one big family helping each other. And he does come to the live show and comment on it. So if you could just give him any advice as well down below that we may have forgotten on kind of getting started on eBay and what it is that you need to do, and any tips to make it easier for him. And again, don't jump into a store right away. List easier items to start with.
Yep.
Expect that you're going to get a little less money to start with than other people because you don't have the track record.
Right.
And I'm going to go into a quick bonus rambling story of the week.
Shocking.
Because I love to hear myself talk, as everybody else does. We all know Random Neighborhood Kid.
Yep.
And I've been doing my day job for over 30 years now. And one thing that I explained to him, in normal times, my day job, I have to go out to various people's places of business and meet with them at their places of business. And what I explained to him that hopefully sunk in a little bit, I've been doing this 30 years. I've been dealing with the same customer year after year. Papergoy is on time year after year after year. Mm-hmm. I've got to do some work somewhere that's usually a half an hour drive away.
Yeah.
During rush hour. I look out the window and there's a snowstorm out there. I'm leaving an hour early.
Right.
I still may be late when I get there, but I'm leaving an hour early because I see the snowstorm. I am also going to, and of course I would pull over to the side of the road so I could do this safely, but when I'm looking down at the clock and I'm 15 minutes early, 15 more minutes so I'm supposed to be at the appointment, and I'm still stuck in a parking lot, I'm going to call them, and I'm going to say, just wanted to get a heads up. I am on my way, but I am going to be late. I have moved a mile in the last 15 minutes because of the snowstorm. And they're going to give me the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because I've got 30 years experience and I've dealt with them before.
Yep.
What I told Random Neighborhood Kid, and I said, no disrespect to you, or to him, I said, you're going to look at it and go, well, it takes half an hour to get there, and you're going to leave 20 minutes early, or 20 minutes, before you should get there.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes later than you normally should, figuring, I can get down there. And you're going to end up an hour late. And you have no track record.
Right.
So when I'm late, they're going to say, Papergoy. And first thing I do when I get there, too, is apologize. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And they're going to forgive me and say, it happened, I understand. Whereas when he shows up, and I've also got age on my side.
True, you're not lying there.
Thank you. When he shows up, they're going to say, this is some punk kid that doesn't value my time showing up late.
Right.
I show up late. Oh, it's an older gentleman. He apologized. I've dealt with him before. It just happened. That's where reputation comes in. You've got 150,000 plus positives, 170,000. I've got 50,000. If a mistake happens, somebody is much more willing to believe it's a mistake.
Right.
And they're not going to immediately go to, you scammed me, you ripped me off. They're much more willing to give us the benefit. Do they go there sometimes? Yes, there are some people out there that do.
We find them. They find us, yeah.
But they're more willing to accept that, hey, a mistake happened.
Yeah.
You know, I understand you've got, how many magazines in your inventory?
100,000.
100,000.
At least.
You did not page through all 100,000 for completeness. You could not have done so.
Sure.
People will understand that, and they will accept a refund from you and accept an apology from you, and everything's good. I've got 2 items listed, and somebody's upset with one of the items I sold.
Yeah.
It's carelessness, you don't know what you're doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So do build up that feedback. I know a lot of people say feedback's not important on eBay and nobody follows it anymore. I disagree.
Oh, me too.
I use it regularly. I mean, when I go on shipping supplies and I see somebody's got 85% shipping supply, I'm not buying from them. I'm not. I'm just not worth the risk to try to save $3.
Right.
I'd rather buy from somebody with 99.5% positive that I know I'm going to get what I ordered.
Right, exactly.
And they're going to stand behind it if there is a problem, as opposed to they just grab my money, take off, and then I have to get my refund through eBay. That's wonderful. I got my money back. But I don't want my money back. I want those 25 boxes that I ordered because I need those because I sold stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
So hopefully that does help you. Do comment down below, hit the like button, and we will see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.